Want to do the next question?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Crust. Next question, Crust.
Okay. From Potato Guy 21, what is the scariest thing any of us have ever experienced? Whew. That's a doozy.
Yeah.
That is a doozy. I almost got hit by a car a couple days ago.
That's not the scariest thing you ever experienced.
It's kind of related though.
You got chased by a lake pedophile.
Oh, that's it. Did I ever tell the story on the podcast?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
What?
I don't think I did.
What happened?
You got chased by a lake pedophile?
Yeah.
Okay,
Seaweed
Chris
man.
has this amazing talent where he takes stories and summarizes them in a way that makes no sense.
Like you being chased down the stairs by a ghost chair?
I don't know. I'm sorry. If I yeah exactly.
Sorry.
I love that. The imagery is
That's
like
way cooler than your boring story.
No,
fucking hearing a chair squeak and you screaming, running outside.
I was like, oh, what happened with your Irish stories?
I've never told an Irish story.
All you tell is Irish stories.
Bullshit.
No, I don't know if I told this, you can just cut it out or whatever. But yeah, when I was like 12 or 13, I had a friend called Seth. And Seth and I, we had an apartment complex where we had a lake in the center of the apartment complex. What?
I was going to say that too, but I chose not to be an idiot,
What did
Corey.
you say, Corey? Go on, own up.
McFarlane.
Good one. Good one, Corey.
Fucking giggly over there, Corey.
Quit picking on me!
Dude, Seth MacFarlane, he was the one that was driving the boat. He was like, I drew a really funny character.
You talking about? Where's
Well, I
the
was
boat?
12.
This is the scariest story ever.
Zach, start your goddamn story again.
It's not a really scary story, but it's pretty fucked up.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's one of those real kind of scary stories where it really happened. I was like 12, I was with my friend Seth, and we had this apartment complex that had a lake in the middle of it. Or like a pond. It was like a pond or lake, whatever. They kind of, the apartment complex wrapped around it. We went in the lake one time because it was like the summertime. We were just fucking around going to this lake.
Yeah.
And there was like this tall grass, or this tall, not bamboo, but it was, what are those things called?
Reeds or?
Yeah. Those. It was in the shallow parts of it. And we were kind of in the middle of this place. And this old guy with the big fucking scary Rottweiler walked up. And he was like, hey kids, what are you doing in there? We're like, just hanging out. He was like, yeah, but you get out of there. Come to my place, you can dry off. We're like, no, dude. And he was like, no, come on over. We're like, no. He was like, no, come on out. You guys are gonna catch a cold in there. Come on out. And we made up some lie about that we threw a baseball in the lake and we were trying to find it, which wasn't true. We said it was a valuable baseball. And this guy, we tried to like swim. We tried to like kind of go low and go behind the tall grass inside the lake. And he kind of walked around and kind of prevented us from getting out. And we were like, what the fuck? We were like, what are we gonna do, man? Because he just wouldn't leave us alone. We were like, we're fine, man. Leave us alone. He's like, no, come out. He got more and more persistent.
Yeah.
And we were there for 45 minutes. Eventually, we got some plan where one of us was going to run out and escape and get help.
Yeah.
But luckily, one of our other friends, the third friend, who was much older, came over and was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And that scared the guy. Immediately just walked up and got scared.
See, that's the creepiest part about it.
Yeah.
It's like as soon as like another person came, because then you know his intentions were weird. If he was just like, "Oh, hey, what's up?"
He wasn't a nice old man. He was like about 50 years old.
Another thing creepy about that is if that guy hadn't showed up, they probably would have been like raped and dead by now.
Yeah,
good old
Because he was
Zach.
a dog.
Yeah, no, he had a powerful dog that I don't know if it was trained or whatever, but it was definitely a deterrent to us to get out of the water.
Could it
definitely.
talk?
Yeah, I could talk. But so that was the scary story, and I'm sure there's more to it. But it happened so long ago. I don't have any details, but that was the gist of it.
My story. I mean, it's from my childhood. I actually a lot scarier things have happened, but I think because I was older, I was able to kind of navigate them with a little bit more
Caution.
Yeah, caution and a little bit more confidence that I'd be able to deal with the situation. But the one that I remember that kind of left like a mark was also when I was a kid. I'm assuming a lot of these happened when you were a kid.
You got fucked.
Yeah.
You got fucked, dude.
I did, by an old man with a Rottweiler in a lake.
Wait, hold on. You were Seth.
I was
Seth.
No, what happened was I was with my friends, Nate and then his sister Erin. She's a little bit older than us, and then Nate was my age. And we were about 7 years old, and we had a sleepover, and all three of us were at the house. At one point, I forgot who mentioned it. It was nighttime, and I was in a Chinese household, so rules were a little bit lax. It wasn't like it was like, hey, go to bed, like they were just kind of like, whatever. Anyways, so I don't know who like dared the other. I don't exactly remember how it happened, but we decided that we were going to go out to the bent tree, and the bent tree is this tree that is near my friend Nate's place. And during this period of time when we were in this neighborhood, a lot of the neighborhood wasn't developed. It was in Washington, so it was just a lot of woods, a very lumber town.
Yeah.
And so there's just woods everywhere, thus Woodenville. And there was this bent tree, which is by his house, and it was kind of like a landmark. We'd meet at the bent tree, we'd hang out there. One time Nate was up in the tree and tried to poop on me from the tree, and then wiped his butt with stinging nettle leaf. And then, there was some fun stories about the bent tree too. But so we went out, it was late at night, and we dared each other to go into the woods. So we went out into the woods, and it was just three of us, but I remember we heard a sound. Like we were like kind of going, we were scared, but you're confident because you were with your friends.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we heard a sound behind us, and we weren't quite sure, so we stopped, and there was nothing. And then we kept going, and it was fine. And we went deeper and deeper into the woods, and then all of a sudden we definitely heard a sound. Then we stopped, and you could just hear like a foot going through ferns because it was woods, you know what I mean? Like there's a bunch of trees, there were ferns
leaves
everywhere,
leaves
so you could hear it. It wasn't like crunching dry leaves. It was like you could hear like the brush of ferns.
Okay.
Yeah. So we were like, I just remember looking at them, and it was so dark, and there was a little bit of moonlight coming down through the trees, but you could kind of see each other's faces a little bit. But what you could really see was like the glint of light in the reflection of people's eyes. So we're looking at each other in the dark. Our eyes are a little bit acclimated. And I remember all three of us just looking at each other like, what do we do? So then we waited, and we kept hearing it, and it was getting closer and closer. So we all fucking hit the deck, and it was kind of like a dirt path that ran right up the middle of the woods. And when I say a path, I mean it's like a foot wide. I mean, it wasn't really a path.
It was like a bike path or a jog.
It was either a bike or like, water was running down it or something, because it was right in the middle of the thing. So we're both on both sides of the ferns, and we're lying down. I was with Nate, and Aaron was on the other side. And we just laid there for a while, and we could hear the sound, right? Just like this coming closer and closer. And then it stopped for a little bit, and then we weren't sure what to do, like whether or not we should get up. Finally, we heard it getting closer and closer and closer. And this is in the middle of the night, in the middle of
What
the
time
woods.
would you say?
There's
What time would
nothing
you say?
fucking here. It was maybe 10 o'clock. It wasn't like 3 in the morning.
But it was too late for somebody to be.
Yeah, it was way too late for anyone to be out there, and why would they even be there? And I'll get to the other question too, the thing that freaked me out when I was older. But anyways, so we're lying there, and I remember staring right at Erin's, like I could just see the glint in her eyes through the ferns, right? And all of a sudden, a boot just went right in front of my fucking face and then kept going. And I just remember seeing her eyes, like, in that moment. And I'm sure I look the exact same way. But, like, that will never leave my mind. Just, like, staring at her, and we waited, and we waited, and we were just, like, locked eyes as long as we could, and just waited and waited until finally we didn't hear it. And then it was like, we never said anything. We weren't like 1, 2, 3. We just fucking, I don't know if it's because one of us got up, so everyone just got up. And then we fucking ran back. And we ran back to the bent tree, and I remember that there was a shovel next to the tree. It wasn't an axe or a machete, but there was a shovel by there. We went back to our house. We went into the, back to the bunk bed, and we didn't really talk about it, went to sleep. Next morning, we went back up. Shovel wasn't by the bent tree, but you could see muddy like footprints, really big boot prints that were there. So in retrospect, there's a lot of things that it could have been. It could have been an adult that heard kids out in the woods and was like, "What the? Why do I hear kids?"
How far away were these woods from the house you were at?
Maybe, I mean, by the furthest we went, probably like, I don't know, like 100 yards, 80 yards. I mean, it was a distance. It was a distance, and it was into the woods, regardless.
Yeah.
But the thing is that always weirded me out when I thought back to it was if it was genuinely someone looking for someone, they would have said something. Yeah, they would have been like, "Hey, kids, is there somebody back here? What are you kids doing out here? It's late." It would have been something. But there wasn't that. This dude was dead silent. Yeah. And clearly following us.
And there's no way he didn't hear you.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he walked straight up the same path we did. Yeah.
He stopped.
I mean, we were talking while we were like walking as well, so it wasn't like we were clearly making noise. So as far as like an actual scariest moment that I felt like my heart kind of going crazy and left like an impression, that would be it. I mean, there's plenty of other scary things, almost getting hit by cars or whatever, but that's the one that definitely left an impression.
Yeah.
Damn.
Chris, have you said it?
I farted really hard and blood came out of my underwear.
That is not scary.
You said you like ran into tinkers that were like assholes.
When was this?
You said there was like tinkers who like shoved you down or something?
It's probably Niall lying to you.
Probably not.
This sounds weird. What's a tinker?
It's an Irish gypsy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
An Irish gypsy is like a scumbag.
But the scariest thing I can recall
Like
is
Snatch?
But yeah, exactly like Snatch.
Yeah.
Exactly like Snatch. But when I went home for Christmas this year, I was staying at my mom and dad's house, and one night my mom came home and she was like bawling her eyes out, and I was like, "What the fuck happened?" Oh god, because like she's had a rough year and shit, so I was like, someone probably fucking died, like more than likely.
Last thing she needed.
Yeah, exactly right. So I was like, fucking guy, and she was like, "I just saw a dog get hit by a car," and I was just like, "Oh, that's horrible, but it's not as bad as I thought. At least no one's dead."
Yeah.
But she's like, "But I saw him like get hit, and then I saw him twitching, and I saw him like going "Argh," and spasming out and shit." And I was like, "That's horrible, Mom. I'm sorry." And she's like, "I don't know if anyone stopped to help him," and I was just like, "Oh, I don't want to make you go back and look at it, but maybe we should go back and see if it's okay." She said it was like close by, so she's like, "I don't want to do that. I can't." And I was like, "Just fucking park across the road and just close your eyes, and I'll go over and see if it's okay."
Sure.
She was like, "Okay," and then
You brave boy.
she pulled over on the side of the road, which was busy at the time because it was rush hour and it was like pitch black. I got out of the car and her headlights were facing this like dog that was like just breathing and was lying there, and I was like, "This is fucking shitty." But I went over to it and it was alive, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And I went over to it and I was about to put my hand on it, and then a fucking black pit bull jumped out of the ditch and it was just going, "Arr, arr, arr, arr," and I was just like, "Oh my fucking god!" Just like frozen space, like with my hands out at it, like.
Yeah.
Just remember, don't make any sudden movements, like back as slowly as you can. It was just barking at me the whole time.
Yeah.
I was just worried that my mom would see like her son get her like his throat ripped out right before Christmas. Like that's all she fucking needed.
Merry
right?
Christmas.
Yeah, right. And I was just like back, and the dog was barking. I just like look over and see her in the car going like, "Ah!" And I was just like, I was shitting my absolute pants because pit bulls are fucking scary.
Chris, like your story is a lot like the scary situation for me.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I don't like big dogs is it actually happened to my sister.
Wait, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Long story short, dog died. The end. Okay, go.
Okay. Well, my sister actually, like at a youngish age, she got bit by a dog. Like a dog like latched onto her and fucked up her arm, like when she was young. Apparently, the dog was like jealous because my dad would give attention to her, and like he was obviously like he was nursing the dog. So when the dog saw that he was giving affection, because they can do that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and it got jealous and like bit her, and then he like fucking kicked the dog and like put it down or whatever because of that. Because he was taking care of it because he was gonna give it to somebody. He's like, this dog is not stable. But for me, like after that, I was always afraid of dogs, and I was never really into a dog situation. But this is almost crazy. I had heard that like at some point there was an attack and a dog was free, and I was like walking down a block, and it was like one of these like huge like dogs. I don't really know what kind of dog it was, but it was right there, and then it was like gnarling its teeth, and I had come in close to it, and I didn't know what the fuck to do in a situation like that. I thought I was gonna be like mauled because a person had already gotten his like arm ripped apart from a dog, and I thought it was the same dog, and it probably was. So from there, the first thing I did was I ran because, like, I mean, what else am I going to do? Just stand there and wait for the dog to just come around and sniff me and then let me go?
Yeah.
So I ran and I jumped over something and the dog jumped over something. So it was still following me even though I had jumped over something.
Dogs, the worst thing you can do is run away from a dog. Its natural instinct is to chase anything that's running away.
Yeah. So it was chasing me into like and then I ran into this other person's backyard, and at this time I had like crazy adrenaline, and I had set it up so when the dog had came in, I turned around and I grabbed the fence and I slammed it as hard as I could right when the dog came, so the dog hit the fence, and then I took that opportunity to run because the dog was like, it hit its fucking nose and it was confused. But that was probably the scariest fucking situation I've ever been in. I can't really, like vividly, I've never really been in a truly like terrifying situation like that, except like that. Like I thought I was going to die.